This is the new TARDIS. And good morning everyone. So we are here with the Seat Ibiza. We're advising for brake pads in this. It's a 2018 and never had the brake pads in this replaced. It was just about due time anyway. We did a service on this the other day. So we've just done this side. I thought we'll get it done first and then we'll show you how to do it on the other side. Front and rear pads in this that needs to be done on this. So we'll catch you in a minute. We'll show you how it's done. Right, first things first, once you've got the wheel off, you got to take this rubber cover off, one up top and then one at the bottom, just right there. So what's holding caliper in is an H7, so one there at the top and one there at the bottom as well. H7. Not going to record the front. Right, once that's off, the next thing to do is to remove the caliper fiber. Again, if you're replacing only the brake pads, you're not supposed to be using this. All you want to do is to pry it. You do this only if you're replacing the disc as well. I'm damaging the brake disc by doing this, so you have to be careful not to do this when you're only changing the brake pads. Only do this when you're changing the brake disc. And once that's out, once it's compressed a little bit, that's coming off. Hang it up there. Next thing that you want to do now is to remove the T30 that is there. I've already removed it, but it's just there. T30 is holding the brake disc, so just one of them. There you go. I'm going to remove the brake disc now. Just hammer it from the back. If that doesn't work, those love taps, just turn it a little bit, hammer it again. And again. Go. And now it's popped out. So once the brake disc is off, you want to be cleaning the runners where the brake pads go. So that's that one, that one, that one, that one. There you have it. So once that's clean, the next thing that you want to do is you want to be cleaning the hub as well. And as you can see right here, that's all rusty. That's not good because that means that the new brake disc is not going to sit in properly. So clean this surface here, that surface, and this surface as well. And then the face, as you can see, there's some rust spots on it, so just clean it the best that you can. You don't have to use a drill to clean it. You can use a wire brush and just clean it the best that you can. And there you have it. So the hub surface is clean now. The next thing that you want to do is just put a little bit of grease here, just so that your disc doesn't stick. And obviously you want to be putting the grease that is for brakes and not for metal to metal contact, because metal to metal contact grease tends to just melt basically, but this one needs to be a high temperature one. So just make sure that it's the right grease, make sure that it says on the label that it's for brakes. We'll get to that. So as you can see, I've just put a smidge of this. It's just a brake contact grease basically, that's what it is. So just a smidge of it. Next thing that you want to do now, put the brake disc on like so, and make sure you line up the holes correctly where this needs to go. It's a securing nut, and there is actually a torque figure of this which is 10 Newton meters. Just tighten that up. By tightening that up and torquing it correctly, you're making sure that the disc is sitting correctly on the hub surface. So 10 Newton meters is not a lot. There you go. Right, so next thing that you want to do is remove this pin. These two pins here, just remove them temporarily. Remove the brake pads, like so. This one might be a little bit harder to remove on the outside, but just give it a love tap. There you go, and that's coming out. And then compress. There you go. Once that's compressed, what you want to do next is to give the contact points right there and right there a little clean as well. Now, next thing that you want to do is to put the brake pads. So with the brake pads, depending on which brand. This one goes onto the piston side, this one goes onto the caliper side, which is on the outer side here. So the black one, with this brand anyway, goes on the outside. But what you want to do first is make sure that you put the inside in first. Make sure that the contact points are all lubed up. This is an anti-seize, just to make sure that it doesn't seize in place. Same with this one. It's a good amount, it doesn't have to be excessive. There you go. Now you want to place it in there now. Just give it a press. There you go. Next one. So with this one, you want to be pushing it from the top, line it up, and then just push down. And give it a tap until it sits in properly, like so. Like, you have to make sure that the lobes are sitting in correctly, just like that. Now what you want to do is you have to make sure that this here goes in between that, and same with this as well. So put it in that way. As you can see, it's supposed to be sitting in like that, and then just give it a little push, and that's it. She's in there. Now with the pins that I told you to remove earlier, as you can see, it had old grease on it, so you want to be cleaning that off and then put a new one in. That. There we are. Again, just put some grease on it sparingly, doesn't need to be a lot. Some grease in there again. There you have it. In. Just put it back in there. Same with the bottom one as well. Put it back in there. Make sure to line everything up. There you go. Make sure that it threads in nicely first before you start using power tools or start using your 3/8 or whatever you're using to tighten it up. Just make sure that it goes in hand tight first, just to make sure that you are not crossing the threads. Right, with this one, torque it to 23 Newton meters as per. Apparently, for whatever reason, it's 23. Why can't you just square it to 25? One down, another one to go. Check it again. Yep, that's perfect. Now don't forget to put the dust cover that goes at the back of that. That is to keep the grease that we just put in there contamination free. There you go, that's sitting in there right, that's sitting in there right, so that's perfect. Now all that's left to do is to put the wheel back on. That's it pretty much. The wheel, torque it 120 Newton meters. Let's move on to the back and then we'll torque this once we're all done. Alright, here's John. So is that 13 mil? I believe that's 13 mil. Yes sir! So he's just trying to move a really tight bolt. Right, so for this one, what you want to do is at the bottom, it's got this part here. So you just want to hold that with a vice grip, or like a really narrow, I believe that's a 15 mil or 16, I can't remember what it was. But because when you try to loosen this, the back side, what's going to happen is that that bit will just keep on spinning and you will forever be there. You'll never be able to undo it. So just undo that. There you go. Yeah, just keep loosening it. There you go. I'll just leave it on for now, right in there by a thread, just because we need to remove the top one. Once we start removing this, it's just going to start on, basically this whole thing is just going to flip that way. So do the same thing, just loosen it up. There you go, put it aside. So John, what you want to do is you want to be prying it from the bottom. But yeah, as you can see, his brake pads are not really in a good condition anymore. That is just wearing thin now, so we've got to replace that. And same with the disc, and as you can see there, a lot of the outside is actually not being eaten anymore compared to the one on the other side. Anyway, next thing that you want to do is to undo this T30 here, like so. Lovely jubbly. There you go. Now give it some love tap. There you have it. And make sure to take it out in an angle because it won't fit here. Now, as you know, the next process will be to give it a little clean. So give the hub surface a clean, that, and all here as well, where the brake disc goes. And there you have it, clean hub. Now the next thing that we have to do is we have to compress this. Alright, so here you have it. So it's not a normal one. So what we did at the front, you basically can't do with this one, because this one has got notches on it where you have to retract it. So this one is actually to put it back in, to push it back in. It's clockwise, so we're going to be doing just that. Okay, so you have to be careful when you're doing this. You have to make sure that the rubber boot stays intact and it stays shaped as it is now. So what you want to do is to compress it like that. You wait for it to spring back in place, and then you can rotate again, just like so. And if you're one of those lucky people that doesn't need to wait for the rubber boot to come back to life, then just keep on rotating. Jesus Christ, if it's not tight like this. So as you can see there, the rubber boot wants to spin with the piston, and that's not what you want. You don't want to be having that rubber break on you. There you go. Give it a nice massage. Keep turning, turn. And by the way, you don't have to use this tool, but this tool will make your life a lot easier. You can even use a set of flat screwdriver if you want, or a set of Phillips, but you will definitely struggle. So as you can see there, look, there's bubbles in it now. I'm just going to keep going, and then I'm going to remove the tool until that's compressed enough. I don't need to go all the way in. Now what I need to do is to basically just give this a good massage. Make sure that it's pushed back in and there's no bubbling, because the brake pad surface needs to sit on this flush and not on the rubber, because that's when you start ripping it, and then what will happen is brake fluid will start leaking out of it as well. Just give it a good massage, and that should pop back in place, if this has ever happened to you, or if this will happen to you rather. Again, grease up the pads, and also just a smidge on the hub surface, not a lot, like so. This guy is currently a fitter, he's not a technician. Right, to put this back in, you have to make sure that you go in an angle like that, just like so. I love Volkswagen and Audi for that, you know, where you don't have to strip the thing. Put the back in there. You just have to torque it 10 Newton meters. What are you doing? What the f? There you go. Now the pads, it doesn't really have an orientation. Well, it does have an orientation. I mean, like, this one doesn't go on the inside and the other one goes on the other side. There is no such thing on this one, so just let that sit in, just like so. Put this back in there. We're good. Put one of them in. And make sure that the spring on the other side in there is actually sitting in the caliper and not sticking out here, because if that happens, what's going to happen is you're going to get shaking on the brake pads, and you're going to get judder and squeaking noise and all of that. Basically your brakes is not going to be working 100%, so what you want to do is to make sure that it sits inside just like that. Same with the top, make sure that it's not sticking out. Torque wrench again with this one, for whatever reason, 23 Newton meters. Go, nothing too fancy, too tight. Go. And that is your brake pads and disc done on a Seat Leon 2018. Alright, here we go. As you can see, this is the one that we removed. That lipping there, the braking is not even anymore. If you compare it with this one, it goes all the way out, all the way around. Yeah, I needed replacing anyway. Same with the brake disc at the front. I don't know if you can see the lipping right there. It's just quite bad now, and he's starting to hear squeaking noise as well, so that needed to be replaced. 120 Newton meters. This torque wrench here needs to be replaced. It's missing a tooth. And that is us done with this Seat Ibiza. As you can see here, new, all around, new, and also new. I'm thinking of making two separate versions of this. One version would be a tutorial version, and then the other one would be a vlog version, where we will be doing time lapses and stuff like that, because I know people out there might need help with their car if they don't know what to do. Yeah, so we'll see you on the next job.